Hello, everyone, and welcome to And There You Go, a podcast about life. Whether you're hanging from a cliff by one hand or laughing your ass off, we'll cover it all. And now your co-hosts, Addie and Chad. Happy birthday to you. Almost, but not quite. Happy birthday to you. Almost, but not quite. I know. My daughter's birthday is tomorrow, 4th of July, and preceding each of my children's birthdays for I don't know how many years now, I've done the happy birthday almost but not quite song for them. And it's basically what you heard just all the way through the song after each line of the happy birthday song. I say almost but not quite because, well, it's almost your birthday but not quite. So I'm not going to entirely wish you a happy birthday. So there. Anyway, this episode obviously is about birthdays.
Yes, it is.
And we just celebrated a fantastic birthday.
We did.
On your side of the family.
Yes, it was my dad's 80th.
80 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
And he looks great. Your mom looks great. We had a fantastic time with them here.
It was wonderful. Yep. I couldn't have asked for more. And you're right, my parents do look great. And I want to thank them because neither one of them looks their age. Not close.
No.
And hopefully I got that gene, that genetic makeup.
Looking at you now, sweetie, I would say you did.
Thank you.
I think you will. Will.
What else could you really say right now?
But I'm being sincere.
I can tell. Oh, hand on your heart and everything.
Hand on my heart.
Very sincere.
Yeah, stack of Bibles. No, but we had a great time with them, and we had your two kids.
Yeah, and their significant others.
Yep,
mm-hmm.
And it was great. And I even got a party souvenir afterwards. I sat down in the chair that your dad had been sitting down in several days after he was there, and something poked my behind, and it turns out to be the fork that he was using. Somehow it made it into the crack of the chair, between the cushion and the arm of the chair.
Oh, that's so good.
So,
but it was mayhem with the cupcakes.
Oh, it was absolute mayhem with the cupcakes.
So that's why he lost his fork.
Yes.
I know that for sure. Yes.
I don't doubt that. Yeah, I mean, the cupcakes were amazing.
They were.
They were a little top heavy with the frosting, which is why I think we had some issues with them.
Mm-hmm.
But there was another issue with the flame as well.
Well, yeah. I had it all ready to go, and I lit the candle, and then as I'm walking towards Dad, everybody's singing happy birthday, and it's his birthday, so it's not almost but not quite.
Yes.
But it's his birthday. And it's so exciting, and the candle, it goes out.
Well, I think was it the first time, though, that you brought it over, and you made it with the candle lit, and it toppled off?
Oh, it might have been the first time.
At least one of the times, cupcake, that top-heavy cupcake, took a Peter Pan right off the little plate that you had.
On my dad's feet.
Yes.
It did.
But
the 5-second rule.
Yep, you saved it. I was going to say.
I did.
Yep.
5-second rule, that's what I said.
Didn't give it back to your dad?
No, my dad got a new cupcake.
I think I ended up with that cupcake the next day.
I think you did,
and it was perfectly fine.
Yeah. 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Clean floor.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed.
So it was fine. And it really, my family, we get together and there's a lot of talking and a lot of laughing.
A lot of laughing and a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Well, I have a quote that's kind of has to do with birthdays, just has to do with life in general. And if you're lucky enough to live a life like my dad and my mom have, a nice long life, this kind of goes with it, I think. To know how to grow old is the master work of wisdom and one of the most difficult chapters in the great art of living.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's the truth. The older that you grow, I think the more wise that you become because you have that many more life experiences. Mm-hmm. But as you grow older, it can be hard. It's your mom said it really well.
Yes, she did. So I'll preface this by saying that my mom is a little bit older than your folks. My mom is, I think she turned 86 this past June. And she's had some physical struggles over the past few years. And so her body isn't as functional as she'd like it to be, that she'd prefer it to be. And this recent round of things that she was talking about, she texted me and said, Chad, old age isn't for sissies.
She's so right.
Well, she is. And, she's got this fighting spirit in her. She's beat cancer. She broke a hip. She's had some respiratory issues that kept her in the hospital. And all through it, she's fought. And she's come out on top all of those times. So
she's a tough cookie.
She's a tough old bird. Yes.
Oh, you shouldn't say that.
I know.
If my kids are listening to this, do not ever call me a tough old bird.
No, I tried it the other day, and I got a pot up to the side of the head from you.
Did really?
No.
Oh, I missed that.
No, I make things up sometimes.
Okay. So what I've decided after experiencing this milestone birthday with my dad, that I'm going to be happy with every single birthday that I get. Because when I was younger, some birthdays bothered me. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, to be that young, how could that have ever bothered me? And now I just think, wow, every single birthday is a gift.
It really is. I think that's a fantastic perspective to have.
So with each new wrinkle and gray hair, as the years go by that might come, I'm going to try to have wisdom and look at it as a gift, because some people don't get that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've known any number of people that have been around my age that haven't made it. And, when you look at that from that perspective, it really is a gift. And also, I think part of the gift is the knowledge and the wisdom that I've gained. That old adage about, if I only knew then what I knew now, it's never going to happen. But I have it now. And so maybe I can do something with it, whether it's for myself or for somebody else.
Or in your experiences, you might help somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely could.
So when it comes to the wisdom part, I started thinking about all of these things that my dad said to me in my childhood or even into my adulthood that just shows the amount of wisdom that comes with age to a great degree. And so I wrote some things down because I wanted to make sure that I remembered them. One of the things that my dad said as a child, when I was a child, is life isn't fair. Because, children will say, that's not fair, it's not fair. And he'd say, life isn't fair. And he was matter of fact about that.
Yeah.
But it's a good lesson to learn.
It's a very good lesson. It's such a cliche to say it, but when you dissect it and really think about it, it's a fundamental rule of life. There are no shoulds or supposed to be's truly in life. Life is what it is, and it is not equal. It's simply not equal. And
some people have an easier time of it. Some people have a really rough time. I don't think we always get to choose that. I didn't get to choose that.
There are simply too many variables that can affect any single individual life.
And the variables can be other people.
And the variables are not the same for everybody.
Right. So another thing that he did is he wrote in my autograph book that I had in 4th grade. That seemed to be one of the things that was popular when I was 9 years old. A lot of kids had those, and It was like yearbooks.
Yes.
Where you just write to your friends
Sure.
something nice
Yeah.
or whatever.
Or silly or
And
yeah.
it was silly. And I asked my dad to write in it, and he wrote this: "You can give without loving, but you cannot love without giving." Profound, because you can give things to people and not love them.
Yes.
But if you're loving them, then you're already giving them something very important.
That's very true. And I have to chuckle a little bit because when you said that you can give without loving, my thought went to, I can give somebody the bird. And
Yeah.
certainly
Yeah, you
don't love
could.
them there. You know?
No, just give it to him, Chad. Give it to him.
Sorry, I derailed us there.
No, you're fine. Let's see. Another one that he said often, and he's very good with finances, he would say, never go house broke. Do you understand what I mean
Why
by
don't
that,
you
right?
explain?
Well, if you end up buying a house that is so hard to pay for monthly that there's nothing left, you can't do anything
Mm-hmm.
because you've spent all your money on this house, and then you don't get to experience other things because your house broke. All you're doing is working to be able to afford where you live.
That makes sense, yeah.
And amongst those thoughts, I guess, is that my parents were not elitists at all. I mean, they didn't have to have the biggest house or the best car or anything. And I'm so happy that I learned that from them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, his full saying was, never be housebroke. It's always important to be able to treat yourself to pizza and beer.
I like it.
Yeah. Let's see. If you need me, I have to stop for a second because I was going to make me cry.
Oh, sweetie.
He said this to me my whole life, so it's just in my head all the time. He said, if you need me, even if you're halfway around the world, I will be there always.
Wow.
So I just never questioned if I was in a crisis. I didn't question whether I could call him or not. I knew I could call him, and I knew he would be there for me. And that's a good feeling for a parent to give their child.
It really is.
And the older I got and the more I went out with friends, say in junior high and high school, before my foot went out the door, he would look at me and say, remember who you are. Have fun, but remember who you are.
I like that one too.
It made a difference because sometimes kids would be making decisions that I should not be making with them or doing things that I shouldn't be doing with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about that. Remember who you are. Is this me? Is this the kind of decision that I would make solely? And it helped me in life.
Yeah.
And to prioritize myself.
Prioritize yourself. Think for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do for yourself.
All those things. Thought of another one. My parents had a very traditional marriage. And before they had me, and I'm the oldest, they made the decision that my dad would work outside of the home, my mom would work inside the home. How he put it was, I make the living and your mom makes the living worthwhile. That's why we do things this way in our family.
I like that a lot. It's interesting. My folks made the same conscious choice. My mom told me that when they started out, they made a conscious choice that my dad, who was a high school teacher, would work and she would take care of the home front.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I've ever heard that quote before or that said like that before.
I'm not
But
sure if it's his personal quote or not,
yeah,
honestly.
but it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't easy for my folks because my dad was a high school teacher. That was the sole source of income. And teachers don't,
for me.
Yeah, teachers don't make a ton of money. But that's where their values and their priorities took over and said, that's not what we're about. What we're about is making life worth living, making a home, having a home, focusing on family.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's huge.
I think so too. I stayed home with my kids for 8.5 years, and those were the best 8.5 years.
Oh, yeah. You just get to know the children so well, and you feel so connected to them, and you're giving them everything by doing that. As you were going through that, I was thinking my own dad, what advice did he give me? And so he had this way of giving advice in kind of a jocular way. He'd label it fatherly advice number 117. These are the vicissitudes of life. I remember him saying that when I was really kind of down about a basketball game one time. And then he went on to explain that, Chad, life is filled with ups and downs. Accept that as a fact. Kind of like life isn't fair. Yeah. It's a fact of life. Mm-hmm. And so, he had that. Another one was fatherly advice 948. He said something to the effect of never wash your windshield while you're driving into the sun. No matter how bad your window is crusted over or dirty or filthy. And the reason for that is because you spray the washer fluid on, and it diffuses all the light and essentially blinds you while you're driving. He said, wait until you turn away from the sun. So there was some, at least that kind of wisdom. So he gave me different things along the way as well. So
well, he was a driving instructor.
He was a driving instructor. So a lot of his analogies were driving related. I'll tell you what, even to this day, I'll take him out. He's going to be 88 this year. And I go out driving with him, and he will still correct my driving errors and issues if there are any. He's just funny that way.
All right. So since we're talking birthdays, I am curious if you have any birthday stories. Like, what birthdays were difficult for you? Or did you have an unusually great birthday or an unusually bad birthday?
Well, one of them that comes, so the short answer is yes. I have examples for all of the above. The one, probably it's the most lackluster birthday I can ever remember having. We had just moved from one town to another where my dad taught, and we moved because he had been driving a lot and he wanted to shorten up the commute. Makes sense. So we moved the weekend before school started, and my birthday is right around when school starts. Yeah. And my birthday that year was the first day of school.
Oh, fun.
And so we had, we had the turmoil of the move, and we had school coming up, and somehow my birthday just kind of it wasn't even on the back burner. I don't think it was even on a recipe card. So we didn't have groceries in to make it. And I just remember going with my folks. I was sitting in the back seat, and we went to a store. I don't know if it was a Walmart or something like that. And I had sat in the car just by myself, and they came back, and my dad reaches over the back seat with a paper bag, and he says, "Here you go, Chad. Happy birthday." And that was my birthday. And I think I was turning...
Backseat of your car.
Yeah. I think I was turning 16 at the time.
Ooh.
Or it was 15 maybe. I don't recall. But it was, my birthday gifts were in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some nice things, but it was like, well, okay. Woo!
Sometimes life gets in the way, right?
Well,
sometimes life isn't fair, and your birthday is on the same day that you move, and you're sitting in the back seat of a car, and you get gifts in a paper bag.
You just had to lay that one on me after I already agreed. That's a fact of life you got to get used to. So basically, you're telling me to suck it up, Buttercup.
No, I'm not.
I know. other birthdays, I think the hard, you have some milestone birthdays that are maybe hard. They just talk about a quarter life crisis when you turn 25. I didn't have that at 25. I had that at 26. I think that was because I was that much closer to 30. And then when I got to 30, so 26 was really hard. 30 was hard, not as hard as 26, but I was lamenting it. And I made the mistake of lamenting that in front of a 97-year-old grandma who said, Chad, try being 97 years old. 30 is nothing. Get over it.
Good for her.
I know, right? And it actually did snap me back and put it in perspective for me. But it felt like an old age, not like old, geriatric old, but just, I don't know. So it kind of struck me. Best birthday wasn't one that was filled with celebration. It wasn't filled with a lot of pomp and circumstance or anything like that. But it was filled with life. And that was the birthday the year after I went through treatment and finally got sober. Yeah. And to your point about celebrating birthdays and being grateful for having another one, that year, I was absolutely grateful. Because preceding that birthday, I also lost a really good friend who had gone through treatment with me. Mm-hmm. So he didn't get that gift. Again, while it's not all fanfare and balloons and cupcakes that topple off your plate, it was a good birthday.
I like that.
How about you? The good, the bad, and the ugly of the birthdays.
Yeah. I can't really think of a horrible birthday off the top of my head. I do remember my best birthday ever.
What was that one?
That was when my kids and I were in Maury, and we were having so much fun.
Oh, yeah. And how could you not in Maui?
I know.
Mean, and I've been there, and that is such a beautiful, wonderful place.
It is, and my kids and I are water people, water and sand.
Yeah.
Water and sand, and we feel our best there. So that was wonderful in itself. But then we decided on my birthday evening to go to a place called Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Have you been there?
I've heard of that place, but I've not been.
It's really good. It's phenomenal. Kind of fancy. Well, it's just excellent. Mm-hmm. And you dress up to go. But the waiters knew that it was my birthday and my kids were little.
How old do you think they were?
Probably 6 and 8.
Okay.
7 and 9, okay. Maybe.
So they don't really care about the schmancy.
Well, they kind of did. They were excited to go to this fancy restaurant, but we were kind of irreverent. I mean, we were laughing and having so much fun and telling stories like my family does.
Oh, yeah.
And then I told them that I could balance a spoon on my nose, and they didn't believe me. And so I had to show them right there.
Right in the schmancy restaurant.
Yeah,
huh?
I balanced the spoon on my nose, and we have pictures. And it was just a blast. Best birthday.
That's fantastic. And, I think that goes to the point of something I think you said earlier about even having some irreverence about birthdays.
Yeah.
Just really having a perspective that a birthday is a gift. And whereas, when you're little, the gift is the stuff that you get, the presents that you unwrap. But as I've grown older, and I think, the things that you've talked about too, it seems like maybe the gift is having that additional time and having the ability to go through life. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say because it goes back to your quote.
To know how to grow old is the masterwork of wisdom and one of the most difficult chapters in the great art of living.
To know how to grow old. That's what I was looking for, that line. to have that irreverence to balance a spoon on your nose as you're getting older, that tells me that you've got a good perspective on life, that you're not taking stuff so seriously
No.
that you can't have fun regardless of what your age is.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't very old because my kids were pretty young.
But you were a grown-up. You had kids.
Yeah, you're right.
So it
I
wasn't
did.
like you were a teenager, going out and getting wild. You were a mom getting wild
Yeah.
with a spoon
With
on
a
your nose.
spoon. And you got a fork up your butt. Thanks, Dad.
Happy birthday to me.
Another really fun thing for me with birthdays as a kid is that my best childhood friend and I were 5 days apart.
Okay.
And so we'd often have double birthday parties. And it was just, we were more like sisters,
Oh, fun.
like two siblings having a birthday together, but enjoying it.
Yeah.
We shared a cake, everything.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we would make the decision what cake we wanted, and we'd either be at her house or my house. It just depended. And had our friends over and just had fun.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember really any birthdays from when I was a kid. I have pictures, and so I can see what some of them look like, but I don't really remember them. It's kind of interesting.
I remember my kids' birthdays
I remember my kids' birthdays too.
because, well, you're the parent, and so you've made the plans,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And my daughter was turning 3 or 4. I can't remember which. She had about 10 or 12 little girls at the birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
Some moms stayed to help, which was really nice. But the week ahead of my daughter's birthday party, there was a sale at Target on a specific kind of Barbie doll.
Okay.
My daughter never liked Barbie dolls.
Interesting.
Ever.
My daughter either.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's interesting.
That is interesting. She liked baby dolls. She would play with baby dolls, but she just didn't like Barbie dolls. And she kept opening her gifts. There were 5 or 6 of those Barbies that had been on special.
Oh, no.
And she's so little, and you never know what they're going to say.
I know.
So I'm right beside her saying, "Say thank you. We'll return them. We'll get something you like. Be nice. Say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Be gracious."
Did
And
she
she was.
She did, yeah.
She was. I mean, I could read her face and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
"Are you kidding?"
Yep.
But she did well. And then my son, for his first grade birthday party, he had about 10 little boys over. So it must have been about 10 7-year-old boys. And we were having a camping birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
So they were going to be outside. And we'd gotten the pizza and pop and cake and everything. And I bought flashlights for them because it was camping and that was going to be fun. And there were a few other things that I got too. And it rained.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so I had 10, 11 little boys all sugared up in my home all night long because it was obviously a sleepover. And by about 1 o'clock in the morning, they're still up running around, and I'm feeling it at that point.
I'm sure.
Like, I cannot wait for this to end. But they had a good time.
That's good. A couple of things I remember from my kids' birthdays. One was when they were on the younger side, so early elementary school kind of time frame. We had, because my daughter's birthday is in the summer time,
Yes.
we had outdoor activities. And so,
July 4th.
yeah,
Yeah.
almost, but not quite. I'm just saying. But we had games set up a lot of times, and we'd get the bouncy houses and other things like that. And so there were a series of games that the kids could play and win prizes at them. And I decided that I would be the facilitator of it because that's kind of what I do. And I had, or I still have it actually, it's kind of beat up now, but a sea captain's hat, a ship's captain's hat, kind of like you see those yacht owners that will sometimes wear them.
Yeah.
As I'm trying to show you that I'm putting it on my head here
Yes.
now. But I
It
had
makes it, the description so much more.
Oh, I know.
I don't know. What's the word?
Visual?
Visual.
Which is not going to work for our listeners here. At any rate, so I had that cap, and I thought, well, I could go as Captain Fun, and I could be the host of all these games in the yard. And so I did that. And the kids loved it. The parents loved it, too. They thought I was crazy, which, I am to some degree. A little. To some degree, yeah. And it was funny because one of my kids came up to me after the end of the day, and I had taken the hat off, and I think it was my son, Jonah, came up to me and asked me, Dad, you're actually Captain Fun, aren't you? I said, no, I'm not. That was Captain Fun. That wasn't me. He said, Dad, come on. I know it was you. No, it wasn't me. And he was so convinced that, it was me, and I told him it wasn't, and it just really kind of befuddled the kid. So, but
are you gaslighting him?
Ooh, right.
I am teasing you.
I was yanking his chain. That's what I was doing. No, but
it's just
so
like,
I did that for a couple, 2-3 years. I was able to be Captain Fun. We had a lot of fun with that. The other thing I remember about my kids, my boys. I'm sorry, boys. I have to tell this story, but as they grew older, preteen and teen years, so junior high, moving towards high school. The way that it worked in our household was that you could invite as many kids over as you were years old, going to be turned. So it worked well when they were younger. We had more kids actually when they were younger, but we'd invite more people over. But as they got older, all they'd want to do is have like a sleepover and play video games in the basement. We'd buy pizza for them, and they'd all sack out on the floor in the basement area. And as the numbers grew of these teens going through puberty and starting to develop these bodily odors that young boys tend to have, the night would start out, they'd be great, and then they'd go to sleep, and in the morning go down and check on them, and the smell it was like a blessed locker room. And I mean, they had fun, but oh my Lord, it took like 3 weeks to air that thing out.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Reminds me of classrooms I've been in.
Oh, I bet.
And you can't open the windows. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I have something that I'd like to read out of a book that's really important to me to end this.
Okay.
Unless you have something else you want to share.
Not that I can think of. It's just other than, hey, Chloe, happy birthday. Almost, but not quite.
Happy birthday, Chloe. So the book is called Tuesdays with Maury, and the book is written about this elderly man named Maury who's a professor, and the book is written by one of his students. And so he's having this conversation with one of his students.
Okay. I haven't read the book. I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
Yeah. Anyway, I keep it beside my nightstand or in my nightstand almost all the time because for some reason, reading from this book is really good for me.
Okay, cool.
And Maury is very wise, also very funny. See if I can get my glasses on.
Yep.
So this is Mitch and Maury talking back and forth. Have I told you about the tension of opposites, he says. The tension of opposites. Well, life is a series of pulls back and forth. You want to do one thing, but you are bound to do something else. Something hurts you, yet you know it shouldn't. You take certain things for granted, even when you know you should never take anything for granted. A tension of opposites, like a pull on a rubber band, and most of us live somewhere in the middle. Sounds like a wrestling match, I say. A wrestling match, he laughs. Yes, you could describe life that way. So which side wins, I ask. Which side wins? He smiles at me, the crinkled eyes, the crooked teeth. Love wins. Love always wins.
Very nice.
And I think that's a great way to end it, because when it comes right down to it, if you gain a lot of wisdom through the years, you know that love always wins.
I think that's spot on.
And there you go.